My business partner and I bought 22 rental units in only 18 months, and it only cost us $6,192. In today's video, I'm gonna explain exactly how we did it, so you can do the same if you want. And just so you can see, here's a 6-unit apartment building I own. This is a 5-unit apartment building I own. And here's a 4-unit apartment building I own, and I have a couple more properties. But with that being said, let's dive into how we were able to acquire these with barely any money. And wait one second, there is a quick side note I do want you guys to be aware of. Me and my business partner own this 50-50. There is no other investors involved. We did not do any syndications. It's literally just me and him that own these 22 units. But with that being said, now that you guys are aware of that, let's get into diving deep on these properties. So number one, I'm gonna break down to you property by property, how we did everything. So you're gonna be able to see how we found the deal, how we paid for the deal, and how we were able to build our portfolio so fast. So let's start off with the very first property we actually purchased, and this was a 2-unit property. We actually got this property from pulling a list, an absentee owner list from PropStream. And what an absentee owner list is basically where an owner owns a property but doesn't actually live there. They're absentee. So this could be a tired landlord, this could be a property that someone just have forgotten about. You never know the case. But we pulled a tired landlord list from PropStream. And what PropStream is basically a platform and is great for investors and agents to find property owner information. And after we got this list from PropStream, we took the list and we added it to directskip.com. And that platform, it basically allows you to upload lists to get all the contact information from each in particular owner. And after we were able to get their contact information, we took it from directskip.com and put it over to Batch Dialer, which is a dialing system. So you can put the list in there and it will automatically dial for you without you pressing any buttons. And once we put that list in there, we actually hired a cold caller to call that list, and she called it and got this lead. After we heard about the lead, we were like, yes, we definitely got to schedule that appointment. And we scheduled it, and my business partner went on the appointment. And after he went on that appointment, he was telling me about the property, and I was like, why don't we just keep it? And we agreed on keeping the property. So us and the seller, we were in some negotiations, but we came to the price of $82,500 to purchase this 2-unit property. And guys, for this deal, we were able to get 100% financing. So 100% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab, plus some of our closing costs as well. So this was truly a blessing. And you guys can definitely get this as well. So this isn't just something that happened to us. If you build solid relationships with private money lenders, this can also happen to you. So just be aware of that. For us to actually truly buy this property, our closing costs to purchase came to $520.24 for a 2-unit. Isn't that crazy? And just so you know, the amount of rehab we added for this property was $15,000. And after we repaired and rehabbed the property appraised for $160,000. Now, literally 17 days after we got that 2-unit property, we bought a 5-unit apartment building, a commercial building, which is insane. And the way we were able to get this deal was basically the same way we got our first deal, but instead of calling this list, we text the list. And the seller texts us back, basically saying 165. Tired landlord price. And sellers don't ever typically say that. Usually that's what wholesalers or investors use when they say tired landlord. So I was thinking that this seller was kind of like scamming us, or, you know, not being legit in regards to the sale of this property. But guys, turns out he was legit. $165,000 for a 5-unit. He was ready to sell. So what we did was schedule that appointment, and I went on the appointment. I walked all the units, met with the tenants, and figured out that this seller was not playing around. He truly just wanted $165,000 and wanted to be done with the property. He was self-managing it and just older in age and didn't want to deal with it anymore. So literally after that appointment, I talked to my business partner, and we also talked with our mentor, since this was our first commercial property at the time. And if you guys know, commercial property and residential property are completely different when it comes to analyzing analyzing it. So after we spoke with our mentor, he was like, this is a home run. You guys better lock this up right now. So later that night, I called up the seller and we agreed on that $165,000 price. And the next day we met at the property, got the papers signed, and was all squared away. So it's crazy because we bought a 5-unit apartment building right beside the hospital for $165,000. And for us to truly purchase this property, it cost us $212.23. And this was due to us also getting 100% financing for this property as well. And the amount of rehab we put into this one was a little over $65,000. And guys, you will not believe what it appraised for. It appraised for $650,000. So this was definitely a home run. Now, this next property I'm about to tell you about, we actually weren't supposed to keep it. We were gonna fix it up and put it back on the market. But after we started fixing it up and once we did put it back on the market, we realized that this was a renter's market and not a buyer's market. We just didn't realize that from the jump. So this property is a single family. It consists of 5 bedrooms and 1 bath. And the way we're able to get this deal was we pulled a pre-foreclosure list from PropStream, and we did the same process where we took that list, put it to directskiptracing.com, got the property owner's phone number, and we took that list to Batch Dialer and was able to call that list through. And our caller was able to get this lead, and it turns out the lead actually knew who I was from going to the real estate local meetups in our area. So we were able to have that rapport right there, which was good. But after our caller got that lead, we scheduled that appointment, and me and my partner went on that appointment, walked through the property, realized that it needed a good amount of work, and we were running numbers and stuff, and the seller wanted a super high price. And we basically told him, like, it just doesn't make sense on our end. And we sat down with him literally at the property, running through numbers, showing him the MLS, showing him what other properties are selling for within that area. And then we finally agreed on the price of $60,000 for this single family property. And yes, with this one, we did get 100% financing. For us to truly purchase this with our closing costs, it came to $0. And the funny thing is, we actually walked away with the check at the closing table and made $6,159.80. And I have the HUDs to prove it all, so you guys know I'm not playing around. So with this property in general, we purchased it for $60,000. We put $30,000 worth of rehab into it, and the property appraised for $145,000. Now, the next property we bought was another 2-unit property. And we actually got this same property the same way we got our 5-unit property. So we pulled an absentee owner list from PropStream as well, did everything, but instead of calling this, we also texted this list, and we got someone that wanted to sell, and it was this 2-unit property owner. We came to the property. I actually went with my contractors, and we just walked through it, had a really good conversation with the seller. He told us the price that he was looking for, and we were able to come to the conclusion of the purchase price of $78,000. Now with this one, we did get 100% financing as well. So for us to truly purchase this property, with our closing costs and everything, it came to $0. We actually walked away with the check as well for $181.71. But guys, isn't that crazy? Like, buying a 2-unit property for only $100, like, that's insane. Like, you can save, yourself from going to Starbucks a whole month and buy this house. Maybe not a whole month, maybe 2 months or so. But still, you could save that money as fast as possible and buy a 2-unit. But make sure you stay till the end, because I'm gonna explain my thoughts on this strategy of us purchasing so fast. So stay tuned. But getting back to it, so we purchased the property for $78,000. We put $25,000 worth of rehab into it, and the property appraised for $186,000. Now, the next property we bought was the 4-unit apartment building. And this is by far the best property we bought in regards to location wise. But with this deal, we were able to get it from actually doing the same thing we did previously. So if it's working constantly, why switch it up? So what we did was, we got this absentee owner list from PropStream, then we put it into directskiptracing.com, and then back into Batch Dialer for our cold caller to cold call. And she was able to get this lead. My business partner went on the appointment, and the seller at this time wanted a higher price, close to the $250,000 number. But me and my partner, we discussed numbers and everything. With this property being fully occupied with tenants and the rents being really low, we decided that for us to be able to make it work, we were around the low 200s. But with us going back and forth with the seller was not having it with the price that we were seeking for. And we came to the conclusion to purchase the property at $215,000. So with this one, we also got 100% financing. That's how we were able to get that $215,000 purchase price. And for us to close on the property, it actually cost us $3,835.66. And guys, let me tell you, at the time of this closing, we did not have the money. We had negative $300 in our business bank account, but that did not stop us from purchasing. We knew it was a solid deal and that it would create great returns. So with that being said, we reached out to a friend of ours and was like, hey, can you help us fund the closing costs for us to be able to purchase this property? And he was like, yeah, that's all good, just for a small fee. So we were able to get that small fee to him and everything like that after we refinanced the property and completely paid him back his closing cost money of what he gave us. So with that being said, we purchased the property for $215,000. We put $30,000 into it for rehab, and the property appraised for $430,000. Now, let me tell you, this definitely was a home run, because after we went to go get this property refinanced, we were able to cash out tax-free money of $63,558. So if I'm being honest, just this property alone pays for all the properties. So I guess you can say we purchased all these properties with $0. But enough of that, let's get into the next property. Now, the next property we got was our 6-unit apartment building. And it's a commercial property. And if I'm being honest with you guys, I love commercial properties way better than I love residential, just because you can really dictate your value of how much the property is worth. But let me tell you, this deal took a longer period of time because the seller was really stuck on his price of $350,000. And it was tough for us just to make that happen. But let's start from the jump on how we even got this deal. So with this one in particular, we literally used all the same strategies from before, with this being an absentee owner list and us cold calling the list. And we realized that the seller really didn't like being a landlord. He did not like dealing with tenants, handling the calls and everything like that. He just preferred flipping properties, which is fine. I mean, that just classified him as a tired landlord. So what we did was we made sure to set up an appointment, and my business partner and I both went on the appointment. We walked through all the units and saw the condition of the property. And like I said, the seller really wanted that $350,000 price. And if we weren't able to give it to him at that time, he would not budge. He would just continue to keep the property and, go about his day. But guys, we both wanted this property. Maybe I wanted it a little bit more than my business partner, just because I love that it was a brick property and it was surrounded around new construction. So I knew the value was gonna go up even more just from how the area is going. So what we did was we went back home, we ran numbers, and it turned out our purchase price needed to be around $200,000, even a little below $200,000 for us to make it work, just because of where it was currently at. But guys, the seller would not budge on his price. So what I did was we just left it be, and I continued to follow up just to see if the seller would change his mind about the price of what he was looking for. Guys, he did not change his mind, but what changed was the interest rates. So at the time, the interest rates were a lot higher when we first initially saw the property, but a couple of months went by and the interest rates started to go down. So what we did was we ran numbers on the property again to see if our purchase price changed, to see where we would need to be at for us to be able to make this happen numbers wise. And it turned out we actually were able to get the seller the $350,000 price of what he was looking for. And he was still open to selling. So this was perfect. We were able to agree on that price, but we actually didn't purchase it for $350,000. We purchased it for $362,000. And just from that, the way we added a little bit more to the property purchase price was we had it under contract with our wholesale company, and we wholesaled the deal to our rental company for our wholesale company to make a $7,000 spread so that our wholesale company can make money, but also our rental company can acquire the property. So it just makes it a win-win on both sides for both of our companies. So with us purchasing the property for $362,000, we had a rehab budget for $40,000. And guys, with this property, for us to truly close on it and purchase it, it came to $0. Like, it's kind of crazy purchasing a 6-unit apartment building for $0. And we walked away with the check with this one. And the amount we walked away with was $3,948.08, which is completely insane. And with us purchasing the property for $362,000, we have set aside $40,000 for rehab. And then we are projected to have the property be worth $620,000. And the reason I say projected is because we're still in the process of doing the renovations with everything and getting more tenants in place. So this one turned out to be a pretty good deal as well. Now let's dive deep into the last and final property we acquired. And this was another 2-unit property. I was actually doing the cold calling and I cold called this lead, and it was also an absentee owner. The owner actually lived out in Maryland, so out-of-state owner, and they wanted to sell. They did not want to deal with the property. They did have a tenant in there at the time, but the tenant was, on their way out. So we purchased the property vacant. Now, it did take a long time to close this deal as well, just because of the language barrier. The seller's primary language was Spanish, and I personally cannot speak Spanish. I do try my best, but it does take a lot of time. And we actually asked our contractor to hop on some of the calls because our contractor does speak Spanish, so he did help with that. But guys, this one took a lot longer than expected, but we were able to agree upon the price of $160,000. We didn't really have any major rehab we were gonna do to the property. We did just want to paint, so we actually decided to come out of pocket with the painting cost. So we only got financing for the purchase price, which was $160,000. So with this, for us to truly buy the property, it was a lot more expected, and it's crazy because it costs way more than any of the other properties cost all combined. So the cost for us to purchase this 2-unit property came to $11,913.76. Now, it kind of blows my mind that this 2-unit property costs way more than our 5-unit and our 6-unit apartment building. But that is how we were able to acquire 22 units in only 18 months for only $6,192. And if you count all the refinances we done and the money we cashed out, we really bought all these units for $0. Now, I do want to say scaling this fast and saying that we own 22 units in 18 months sounds amazing, and it looks amazing on social media, but I don't know if that's the way you want to think. And if you are thinking about scaling this fast and acquiring units, I recommend you check out this video right here of me breaking down why I regret buying these 22 units, and it's gonna explain a lot. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.